we partnered with the Financial Times to bring you Lex on Bloomberg so you can get a sneak peek at the FT's flagship column a day early. Sarah O'Connor joins us now from London to talk about Bharti Airtel, South Asia's biggest mobile company, agreeing to buy Zain's African assets for $10.7 billion. Zain is Kuwait's biggest mobile phone company. So once you've got that all sorted out, you'll understand some of the questions I'm asking Sarah. Sarah, it's not something we look at a whole lot here in the United States, but there are some big questions as to whether or not this is a good deal for Bharti, this Indian company trying to expand outside India. $10.7 billion sure seems like a lot of money.
It does seem like a lot of money, and that's exactly what shareholders thought when the deal was first announced. The shares fell about 10%. I think what people were worried about was Bharti has long wanted to get into Africa. They tried twice via South Africa's MTN and failed both times. I think a lot of people thought, oh, it's gone for a consolation prize and it's overpaying for it. I'm not sure that's quite right. I mean, it is a rich valuation. They're paying about between 8 and 10 times expected earnings for Zain's African assets. That said, if you take a step back and look at the bigger picture, Bharti is kind of climbing the walls where it is in India. It's locked in a price war, which is really slowing its earnings there. So it needs to expand to try and get back some of that growth. Africa is a great place to do it. There's only about 4 in every 10 Africans have mobile phones, and they pay more than Indians do. So operators earn about $10 per month from their African customers. In India, that's sort of between $2 and $3. So there's potential there for Bharti.
Let's talk, though, a bit about that potential, Sarah, because Africa has offered so much potential for so long, but so many companies have found that it's not so easy to make money in Africa, or at least to make something of the promise that the continent seems to hold. What does Bharti need to do to turn this into a moneymaker?
That's right, and I think that's exactly what Zain found. I mean, we had a nice quote in today's paper that Zain isn't a house that you just move into and live in happily. It's a fixer-upper. I mean, a lot of its businesses are actually losing money despite the potential that we talked about, particularly Nigeria, which is the most important one. What Bharti can do, and what it probably will do, is use a lot of the techniques that it uses in India to lower its cost base. It outsources a lot. It also does network sharing agreements. That should mean that it can then lower tariffs and that way encourage African customers to use their phones more and also perhaps take market share. So I think that's what they're planning. Whether or not they pull it off, everyone will be very interested to watch and see.
Sarah, we've got about 30, 45 seconds left. Tick off for me some of the hurdles that Bharti faces in its effort to do what you just said.
Well, there are plenty. The most immediate ones are regulatory. So it's moving into 15 African countries. That's 15 different regulators it needs to deal with and persuade. Bharti says it's confident that it will be welcomed with open arms, but we've already heard from Gabon saying they're not quite sure, they're not happy with the way this might have been done. So there's that. There's also a big issue in Nigeria where a minority shareholder is trying to block the sale. It says it shouldn't go through. So those are the most immediate ones. And then further out, I mean, there's a whole continent to deal with, lots of different countries. Markets have their own peculiarities. That's not something that Bharti is very used to. So.
Well, Sarah, you've made a very persuasive case for why Bharti might have a tough time. That's Sarah O'Connor of the Financial Times.